Next week, we'll see what I believe could be the most important update in Call of Duty history. It's common knowledge right now that Call of Duty isn't in the best spot, with thousands of players leaving the game for an array of reasons. Just a quick one, the footage that you're seeing now is actually prime Verdansk. This is one of my games I found on an old hard drive where I managed to get a decent amount of kills, so hopefully you enjoy that. But getting into the topic, if we just look at the Steam player charts when Black Ops 6 released, it was sitting at over 300,000 players, and that's come down to an average of around 70,000 players over the last few weeks, with some days hitting a max player number of less than 66,000. Of course, this doesn't take into account all the players on PlayStation, Xbox or Battle.net, but it gives us a real indication of just how bad the player numbers are right now, and if we use the Steam numbers as a rough guide, COD is in the worst spot it's been in for over 2 years, and the reason for that fall off is a combination of loads of factors. For example, the amount of cheaters, the stale meta, the overall buggy, unpolished feel of the game, and if you've left or you're still playing, I'm keen to know your reasons for that in the comments below. I'll be replying to everyone. And that's the reason that the update next week, bringing Season 2 in, is so important for the future of this game, especially with Verdansk on the horizon. The 28th of January must be a success for Call of Duty. They've got a huge opportunity to fix a lot of the issues with the game, which could help claw back a lot of players that have slipped away. Verdansk coming back is likely to happen in March, potentially April, and the game will naturally see a huge surge in players because of this map coming back. I wouldn't underestimate just how many people are going to return to Warzone for a little bit of 2020 nostalgia. If you cast your mind back to that time, so many people that hadn't played for years or weren't even that interested in gaming were online playing Verdansk. If Activision could have engineered an event that would force people to stay at home and have nothing better to do than play COD, they couldn't have done a better job or timed it as well as what happened in March 2020. And although that time was horrible for the entire planet, one sliver of joy that came from that time was reuniting with old friends and coming back to Call of Duty. We really were living through a little mini golden era of gaming. That's why Verdansk coming back is such a big deal. So if the game issues haven't been dealt with prior to the launch, people will leave the game just as quickly as they came back, and do so with a very bitter taste in their mouth, because the iconic Verdansk has been tainted. I would say though that even if the game is in a great spot, it's still going to feel really different than 5 years ago, especially if we just take Omni movement alone, which is so vastly different from any Call of Duties in the past. A lot of returning players will not have bought Black Ops 6 or played Warzone for a long time, and the way the game feels right now will be completely alien to them, even if they might know the map inside out. If anyone experienced the relaunch of COD 4, for example, as much as it was great to experience those maps and weapons again, it just didn't feel the same. And of course it wouldn't. It's nearly 10 years later. The people you've played with, the context you're gaming in, it's all changed. And the non-game related changes have more of an impact on your experience than you might realise. COD 4 for me was the first game I played online on my Xbox 360, and the novelty factor of playing online with my friends was a big reason why I loved it so much. Fast forward to 2016 when the remastered version came out, and playing online no longer had that unique feel, because most games nowadays have a main focus on multiplayer. It's just the norm now. My point here is that Verdansk already has the challenge of not living up to its release in 2020 for reasons beyond the game itself, which is why I think this update has to make a significant stride towards stabilising the game, ready for that massive wave of players to return. That means making sure the game is as bug free as possible, the frame rate issues are sorted, and probably the most important one of all, the ricochet anti-cheat is working to the best standard that it can be. There is still time for the devs to pull the game back around and address these issues, but we tend to see the biggest changes when the new season drops, and it's been that way for a few years now. The new seasons introduce new weapons, sometimes new maps and game modes, as well as address the quality of life issues and general game performance. So if Activision are able to roll out a significant improvement next week, they won't have to put so much focus on improving the gameplay when Verdansk drops in a couple of months. One ray of hope that we've got with this update is that the developers are well aware of the issues with the game at the moment, as you'd expect them to be, and the community update that they released actually addresses what they're doing to fix a lot of these issues that we've talked about in the video. Their key bullet points were cheating and bans, server issues, quality of life updates and requested bug fixes. I've linked the blog post in the description below, it's worth having a read of it. Also COD did a really good video on this talking about the community update, and that's linked down there as well. So now all we need to do is just wait to see how significant the update is going to be next week. And like I said earlier in the video, let me know if you're playing or not in the comments below. I'm replying to everyone and I'm keen to know your opinions. I'll also be covering the update next week, so don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Wow. Can you buy me back, Jake? You can buy me back if you're on the shop, mate. Gets in there, mate. Well played. Well played.